All right, let's get after it. So let's gonna do a quickie here for these 9 directionals for Desert Hills Premium. So you've got 9 total. You got 6 that are gonna be installed onto concrete, existing concrete pads. So those are gonna be Hilti studs in there. And then you're gonna have 3 of them that go in pavers. So they're gonna pull the pavers up, and then we're gonna do a footing, kind of like a Mjolnir like we do with our monuments. So 6 and 3, 9 total. So let's get after it. We'll do the lay of the land here. So we got some 090 bottom skirts, some decorative skirts. So there's a bunch of little parts here. I went ahead and did quantity 9 group instead of making, a whole bunch across the page. So you have sort of the bottom part of the skirt, and then you have the top part of the skirt with little jiggies. Look out for these guys. And then you'll have 18 of these. These will be the skirt mounts that attach to the quarter plate. We'll go over that. So, but look for these guys, don't lose those. You have the panels. They're just gonna be 090 panels. You're gonna lords to the frames once you're all set. We've got the actual mounting, like foot bracket for all of them. This is the mounting plate. And then we're gonna have like an adapter plate that will do for the 3 footing ones. We'll go over that. But look for all these little parts, like these parts here and stuff. Look for that. And then 1/4 inch plate again, except these are just gonna be decorative rectangle blocks that you're gonna weld in. And then you have the top scrollies. So look for those. We're gonna have a 1/2 inch MDO. I want this to be a fresh piece of MDO, nice and clean, flat, all that for install. So look for that and make sure install gets that. And then for this one, I know Route doesn't watch this, but if you wanna tell Route, it's just gonna be a plywood welding jig for your table. So first and foremost, I like to use nailing board that you guys use for trim cap, the 5/8 MDF that you get from like Lowe's or whatever. I usually don't throw those out, stack up a couple of them even. So once they get totally nailed and they're totally full of holes, keep them behind the bandsaw. You keep a couple of them just for this reason, because they still are good to cut out and use as template boards. Even though they have a bunch of holes in them, no big deal. And then we can throw them away. So you don't need to stack up all of them, but keep some in, they're very handy. So if you have a used up trim cap nailing board, go ahead and donate that to Route for this. Or if there's a piece, because this is barely 2x4. So if there's a piece of 1/2 or 3/4 by the panel saw, it's a little expensive, but I think it'll be worth it. Or some sort of flat, stable, thick piece of scrap plywood, but not OSB. We don't want strand board, but any kind of thing that's gonna be nice and flat and stable for you guys to use for this template. So just keep that in mind, any kind of, plywood or whatever. So nothing too crazy here. Just wanna give you the heads up on the thinking and how to put it all together. So you're gonna do kind of a few separate things. You're gonna build the frame. So I have a cut list here. So I have it all laid out right here. So you've got your 2 verticals, you got your cross, you got these pieces here, you got these pieces. And so I kind of discussed real quick about doing this table jig. So you're gonna nail this jig down to your table, and it's gonna give you this inside dimension. Then you can stack this up against there, and then you can stack these and you can stack that and sort of get it all centered up. And then that will allow you to also drop in these plates. So you'll have to figure out the math on splitting the 3 into half, 1.5 inches, and then working backwards from 1/2 a quarter. But you're gonna wanna make sure that these are centered, in the middle of the bar. And so while your frame is on the jig, you can drop these in, and then you can drop in the scrollies as well. And whatever you cook up for that, you put it underneath here and split the difference and get these centered into the bar as well. So you can get this corner pocket, get this corner, get this top, and then go ahead and tuck your bottom piece up against there. Go ahead and put these bars in, these guys here, and then use these rectangles, these bottom rectangles here as the guide to hold all that in. Don't worry about the 1/4 inch per se. This will be its own sort of process. So then go ahead and use the openings here. I went ahead and made it like kind of open here so that way it's easier to get out. But what I'm saying is only tack this on the frame. So once you get this all set and clamped and everything, tack it together, then pull it out of this jig. Don't weld it in the jig, because then it's gonna shrink to the jig and then you're not gonna be able to get it out. You're gonna have to pound it out, and you don't want that. So go ahead and tack all 9 frames together, tack them together well, pop them off your table. Then you're going to put the centerpiece in, because we're going to, obviously you can't put it in with the jig. And then that will just tack in and weld. And then that's going to be where it'll give you something to lords the panel to. So, so go ahead and get this frame all done. Go ahead and get all 9 of them in that process, and then you're done. Then you can get rid of the jig off the table. You're set. Now somebody else, or turn to somebody else, go to this part. This is going to be the quarter plate base. So this is it kind of by itself. You can see the orange here, and then these blue things here, and then the orange here in the bottom plate. So it's pretty simple. All you're going to do is take these verticals. There'll be 4. There's one here and these dog bones. And then you're just going to trap in between this guy here, in between, to catch those dog bones. And then you're just going to tack it together. And then you're just going to go ahead and wait until you have the bar here. And then you're just going to put this up against, lean it up against there and burn it. So you only have 4 verticals. And then you have a little cross brace here. I wanted this to be sort of pocketized right here with verticals in order to have a nice strong mounting point for the studs. So this little piece right across here is kind of important. So you'll just kind of dog bone it in, and then kind of find your square, and you're just going to burn that to the leg right there and right there. And then what you're going to do is take some 193 Clecos, and you're going to take these guys. These little C-channel things, 090, are going to be what the skirt mounts to. So you can see the 4 screw points here. You got 2 here, well, 6 actually, and then you got the 2 here on the sides. Those will attach to themselves basically. So you're going to bend these up, shoot them out this way as shown, and then this guy here is going to come up as a spine to align to, and then you're just going to slide that dog bone slit right over that, and then it's going to line up to the holes there. And then you're just going to tack it to the back there and tack it to there, and you're good to go. So when you're done, you'll have this kind of, this assembly with these things on there. And then you can set these on your table, slide these on, line everything up, make sure it's 90 perpendicular and sexy. And then you can just burn, baby, burn. You can burn the legs to the plate. And so when you're done, you're going to have this whole assembly here. So that'll be it. So essentially they'll be done once you get the quarter on there and you have these little weird things sticking out. This is all, that's done. And then you'll have these pockets all welded up nice. So, and then once you have that all finished, and then of course, yeah, you'll have this welded up in there. I don't have it here. Let's see, what do we got? And then once that's done, then you can go ahead and just lords on your panels. So I gave you the measurements. There's really no way for me to jig these because you're going to be making this frame sort of, by hand and things. So whatever. But I did give you 5 Cleco holes to work with if you want. So these are the measurements, 4 3/4 down from the top. It's 2.5 and 2.5, split the difference like you do, whatever it is. And then I know you guys like to, you'll just kind of throw a quick, like a little Sharpie mark there or whatever. But then once you get this kind of set where you want it, you can cover it with ballasts from the war wagon, hold it in place. You can go ahead and just do like a temporary drill if you want, do a 5/32 maybe here and here. And then that'll allow you to cleek them up. Then you can get all these frames laid out on tables and sawhorses, pop lords, and then work your way around and just start lordsing these down. So once you get that center brace in there, that'll give you a nice lord spot all the way along the spine, and then just lords it really well. And that's it. You're going to put one on each side because these are double faced. And then it's just going to get a graphic on the face of that 09. So, so that'll take care of the frames and everything. So you could actually do that all separately. And then once you get these panels on there, these things are pretty much done. Then you can concentrate on the bottom skirts here. Skirt. So, and we'll go over that. Now, 3 of these are going to have this adaptive boot that will attach directly to the bottom plate. You don't necessarily need to do that in the shop. You're just going to get all 9 welded up. And then separately, this is almost like a monument Thor's hammer. You're just going to take these little guys here. They're going to go along the bottom edge here. And then you're going to dog bone those in. And then this is a little different. You're going to take this and it's just going to dog bone across. See the green right here? I'll fill it. Boom. So this is just going to dog bone across, and it's not going to technically lock into anything. but this is going to go ahead and lock in across. So let's just make him purple like that. So this guy here will lock in across these two and, you know, create like a crisscross. Then you're just going to slide the post in, and you're technically going to weld the post to this piece and down here. You're not going to actually have any access to weld the post directly to the top plate, but that's fine. So yeah, so you'll burn it across here, and then you'll burn it across basically here. So make 3 of these. I don't think, you know, and do the bottom plate like we do. I don't think these need to go to paint or anything, but I think these will probably get dipped in the tar, the bituminous coating, whatever it's called. I have your cut list for that. There's 3 of those little square tubes. I have them called out at 3/16 because I think we had some laying around at 3/16. Whatever we got that's 3 by 3, you know, go for it, because these aren't going to be that crazy big or anything. So anyway, frames, get 3 of these done, kick them out, good to go. Let's talk about the bottom skirts. The skirts are separate. You want to make sure you mount them up nice though, and make sure they fit and everything works, but technically they're separate from, you know, this part. So maybe one person could work on this and the other person could make these, whatever. So what you're going to do is you're going to do this first. So the idea is it's going to be a 2-piece design, right? You're going to have 2 pieces that come apart like this, and they're going to cover once everything's mounted. Now you see this bolt, some of the sketches have this bolt. It's been omitted. We don't need that bolt. It became decorative. They thought they were actually going to mount this thing with this bolt somehow. It's gone, so don't worry about it. But you're going to basically create a layer cake in 2 pieces that's going to come together and clamp together and then screw. So that's what you're going to do. So this bottom part is the bottom section of that layer cake. It's this piece right here. So what you're going to do, you do have an A and a B. That is because I'm trying some weird jig thing I haven't done yet. So you're going to have the B jig is going to be the shorty. That's going to be the top jig. You can see it in green here. That's going to go around and hold this part together. And then this half though, the jig is going to be weird. I have it in magenta. You know who you are. It's going to stick out past, and that is going to be where the screw goes in. Let's see, we'll go back up here. So you see the 2 screws there. That they are going to attach to this 1-piece kind of jig. So B jig is shorty, A jig is longer, and it sticks out a little bit, and then you're going to clamp and bend these ears. And then what you're going to do is you're going to weld these ears. So this is like a side view, so you can see where A, actually I'll just grab that. So A is this part, and then B doesn't have that. B will have the holes for the screws. So when it comes together, this A jig is actually attached and bent in 1 piece. So you'll have 2 cleco holes, and they match up right here, right? And then you have 3 plug weld spots, and then you can actually plug weld it to the inside of A piece here. So here's your 2 cleco holes. They should theoretically attach to here, and then burn it, and then you'll have your 2 screw holes sticking out, and that helps align B. And when they slide it together, they'll shoot your screws right in there. So that's where your screws go in B. So that's why there is an A and a B for this bottom part. Now you'll also see that in the skins, once we get to the skins here, those 2 holes will match up to the mounting. So this is, you can see where that's those weird mounting things on this right here. So you can see that's where that'll match up. So eventually that's all going to come together. So you'll do the bottom piece first, and then what you're going to do is take a top skin and you're just going to lords it to A and B. Now the skins are symmetrical, so it can go either one. I don't have them labeled because they are equal, because they're split in half like that, you know, come together. So take those, so get this welded up, get it all done, get it to the jigs, get it all dialed in, and then go ahead and lord your skins to the top, and that creates this bottom assembly because you got to get that done. Then you move down to the next section up, the little top, I call it the top of the layer cake, the top frame. So it's just a simple 3/4 by 1 frame. Now it is in 2 slices because it has to come apart. So you have these little nubbies here, and you've got this. Now this is all symmetrical though, don't worry about it. And then the thing is, to save route time, I went ahead and only did jigs for the top. So put the C-channel frame together, and then you just have little jigs in the corner on top. So this little guy to this guy, just using 1 jig on the top. Then once you have that little C thing put together, once you have like 1/2 of it put together, then you're just going to go ahead and lords it directly to the bottom assembly, and that's going to hold it together so there's no jig there. So the cleco holes all match up, so you'll be jamming the cleco through all of that. I know it's not ideal, but just saves time. And then once you have that lords, so you jiggy, number 2, you lords it on, and then you go ahead and lords on the top skin to the whole thing right here, right? Top skins. And then that finishes the entire layer cake. So that's how you get that that double stacked. So you got your little, that's your little 1x frame there. And then you've got your bottom frame there. So hopefully that makes sense. I think you guys got that. And then for install, I already went over this. Similar to your holiday inn signs that are out there, you're going to have a 1 inch. So in order to have these skirts fit properly, you're going to hilty in your 1/2 inch studs into the concrete, and you're going to make sure you have 1 inch from the bottom plate to the concrete. That way the skirt will fit just right. Now go ahead and make it plus 1 inch, 1 inch plus a 1/16 or an 1/8, and that way it'll kind of float a little bit, but that's how we'll do it. Install is going to stagger the studs. You only need 4 studs, but you're staggering them. So the mount plate, I know I'm running everywhere, giving you guys epilepsy. So you're going to have the 4 here. It's just going to be staggered just like that. You only need the 4, boom, 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 and you can pick whichever one. For the adapter plate, you're going to use 1/2 inch bolts. Whether you use all 8 or not, I don't know. It's up to you. But you're just going to bolt it together. You can see there. Same thing though. This is going to be 1 inch off of the bottom if you let this sit right on the pavers. So the orthopedic boot is 1 inch tall, right? And then the orthopedic boot is 1 inch tall, and then you're gonna let that sit on there. I would make it sit up a little higher than just that. That way there's a little bit of clearance, but it's up to you. So anyway, so that's that. I think we got it. We're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna go ahead and do assemblies. We're not gonna weld studs on this. We're just gonna do complete bolt assemblies. That way it's all set. But you know what? No, I think we will do. You know what? I'm going to change that up. We will weld on nuts on those because I think it'll just be easier that way, because otherwise you're not going to have clearance. Yeah, I didn't send it out that way, but I'm going to go ahead and change that up. So expect to weld nuts on these. I'm going to do it right now, just like that. Boom. There you go. So there you go. Well, I'm going to update the files for that. But anyway, I think it will be easier in the long run. I was thinking it's bolt assemblies, but once these are actually cemented in, concreted into the thing, you're not going to have access to these nuts, so we better weld them up. So anyway, cool. But otherwise, I think that's it. Get these done, get these welded up, get these lords onto there, use your jig, only tack, get these built, and it's fairly straightforward. So I think it's all good. If you have any questions, hit me up.
Check the technique. Check the technique.